everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lena, and on today's video I'm creating this upcycled DIY entryway bench with galvanized legs. If you're interested in learning more, please stay tuned. Sadie. This is the last piece of furniture that I'm working with from the overall solid oak bedroom set that I was able to get from my neighbors down the street. And it's pretty cool that I was able to break it all down to make some tables and benches and storage areas for all my projects in woodworking. And this particular portion originally sat on top of the two piers that I was able to make into the nightstand DIY, as well as that workbench storage table right over there on the right. And to give you a better idea of this portion, I googled oak pier bedroom set, and it is that top surface area that used to sit on the two piers, so above the headboard area. So that's what we're working with. But isn't it crazy how this was widely popular back in the day? It was so much furniture just for one bedroom. But let's get started. For the legs of my bench, I'll be using some galvanized pipe as well as flanges. I have 1/2-inch flanges and 12-inch long galvanized pipe that has a 1/2-inch pipe thread at the end. I brought out my drill that will work great with my 3 1/4 inch diameter hole saw here, and I brought out scrap plywood to make these circles, and I'll show you a little later why I need to make those. I brought out the clamps as well. These are awesome clamps from Bessie, love them. And then I also have 1/2-inch screws as well as 1.5-inch screws, and these are the star heads here, or torque heads, I believe that's what they're called. And I did bring out the sander, which I already did some major sanding last night. I didn't capture any of that on footage, but of course I wanted this natural solid oak color to shine through. Before we get started on cutting out these circle pieces from my 5-ply scrap wood that I have here with the hole saw and the drill, I needed to tell you a little bit more on why I needed these circle pieces in the first place. Because all I'm working with is a 1.5-inch screw here and 1/2-inch screws. What I really need is probably 1-inch screws, which I don't have, and I'm trying to save some money, so I'm just going to move forward with the 1.5-inch screw here. And if you look at it, I have my flange here, and then just imagine that the screw is going through this extra piece of wood that we cut out. And then let me show you a little closer. So I have my tabletop bench here, and when I go to attach this piece, it's still going to penetrate through the top here, but it's not as drastic with this extra thickness that we've added here. So my flange, the extra 5-ply here, and then it'll go through this piece right here, and it will attach all together. And hopefully I could probably cut off the tip here so it won't cause any safety concerns with a hacksaw. I'm now ready to cut out these circle pieces from my scrap wood plywood that you see here. And the first thing I want to do is clamp down my scrap wood to my work table with the 2 clamps and make sure it's nice and sturdy. I brought out my drill and my hole saw kit that you see here. And the thing with hole saw kits, they come in all different sizes, and it comes along with drill bits for your center point here that usually goes along in the middle of the hole saw. And back here is your mandrel or your arbor pieces that go into the shank of your drill here, like that. And then depending on which kit that you have, it either uses an Allen key or a Phillips head or a flat head to loosen and tighten these bits into your hole saw. But the cool thing I have here to work with is a quick connect arbor And the way it works is that you screw it onto your hole saw, and once everything is sitting flush next to each other, you then use this mechanism on the arbor so that these two prongs right here can go into these two holes to make sure your hole saw is nicely connected, like that. And then from there, you'll place it into your drill. Make sure everything is tightly connected. Once you hear the clicks, make sure it doesn't come out, and then just push on the trigger a little bit to see if it's working. And then I did lots of practice with this specific hole saw just because it didn't have a center bit, and the center bit is very useful for your initial contact into the wood, and that way you can also flip your scrap wood piece and meet it on the other side, and it'll prevent tear outs like this, which I've seen on lots of tutorials. But I'm just using what I have, so I practiced with this yesterday, and of course it did a lot of movement without having that center bit, and it was a little scary, but the more and more I practiced, I got better at it. And what I noticed is that if I applied more pressure on one side of the circle and made sure the teeth of the hole saw connected to the wood, then it went fairly smoothly, and I could change my speed from a 1 to 2 to go a little bit faster, and I still kept my torque on the same screwdriver logo that you see here. So I'm going to finish off this circle and show you how you'll get a circle piece like this. A little faster. I'm now ready to sand down my circle pieces with this disc sander that I have here. I flipped over my bench, and now I'm ready to attach my flanges and the scrap wood circles onto the bottom here. And a good way to measure out if you're placing everything correctly is to use the speed square. And so I placed this one flush against this border, but to make sure that I'm placing it in a correct spot here to match the other side, I'll use a speed square, and all I do is put it into a notch here. So this is 2 inches and 1/4, and I move down the square with my pencil, and it makes a straight line that I could reference like that. And I could do the other side as well. I'm using the first notch here, and I move it along, and it makes a corner line, and that way I could place the unit like so. And now I got my drill with a 9/64 bit to create my pilot hole. Okay, and then I get my screw with my impact driver, and you'll see that this screw is too long and it penetrates through the board. So the next few steps that I have left to do is attach my extra circles that I made for the bottom flanges here. I made extra because I wanted the same characteristics on the bottom of the legs as well as the top of the legs. And when I assemble everything together with the 12-inch galvanized pipe here and with the bottom piece here, you kind of get an idea of how the other three will look, and then I'll be back with my after shot. Here is the before video of the bench, just the top sitting on some wheels. To get a better perspective, this is how it looks next to all of my carts. And here is the after. A very simple build using what I had on hand. Here's an up close look of the legs. And inside you can see where the screws punctured through, which I'll have to fix eventually. This is that middle portion. And then the same thing on the other side. Here are the legs up close. And I want to do one more after shot with some home decor items. Here is another after shot with some home decor items. I stylized it in my entry hallway. Here is my DIY coat rack with it. Added some pillows and blanket for a cozy look, and of course a plant with some shoes. And it is an excellent spot for my guests to sit down, take off their shoes, and hang up their keys and purses. And there you have it, everyone. That's how I built this DIY entryway bench with galvanized legs. I learned something new with using the hole saw, and I hope you did as well. Please remember to subscribe to my channel as well as liking this video. And until next time, another DIY coming at you. Bye!